The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Be Kind Rewind podcast. I am your host, the Big Llama. I'm also the host of the Big Llama Show on YouTube. I have a movie reaction channel, and I do a Sunday night live stream with my co-host Blackout AD, where we talk about pop culture, UFC, fighting, gaming, everything under the sun, and we have fun with our fans. But we're not here for that tonight. We are here for the Be Kind Rewind podcast. And if you did not read the description or look at the thumbnail, if you're watching this on YouTube, we are going to be talking about the movie The Departed. And I am really, really excited to talk about it. But we do have a special guest with me. I have my friend, Mr. Hercules Outlaw, joining us to discuss The Departed. Welcome, Mr. Hercules Outlaw.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, good to have you, man. Good to have you. This is a great movie. 2006 movie, has all the stars in it.
Yeah, it's crazy to think too. Like 2006, I didn't realize this movie was that old until like recently, and I was like, oh my god, it makes me feel that much older. And I know, you can speak for days on that, but like, it's crazy because I remember when the movie came out, and I can imagine like on your end, like you were a lot older, you can understand these movies a little better. Oh yeah. So 2006, I had to have been what, like 11, maybe like. I was like, well, I had no business watching this movie, but I enjoyed it so much. Yeah, no,
it's a great movie, and and it's kind of helmed as not Scorsese's best movie. Obviously, he's got classics under his belt, but it's one of the first movies that actually has a plot that he's done. So
yeah, it's weird to think that you can like go throughout a whole movie not knowing how it's going to end. Or like where it's gonna go, So like the fact that he does that and succeeds at it is crazy for the industry that he works in. So the fact that this had a plot to it was insane.
Yeah, and a triple cross at the end, and just insanity that happens at the last seconds of or the last like half of this movie is just pulse pounding excitement and one surprise after another, and so it's an amazing feat. Again, many would say it's not his best movie, but I would tell you this is a certified classic and totally rewatchable time and again. But ground rules for the podcast, for the Be Kind Rewind podcast. Obviously, this is an adult podcast, so we'll be it's not for little ears. So as we said last podcast, put the fucking kids to bed.
Put the fucking kids to bed.
Put them kids to bed. Fucking kids. All right, anyway, we love our kids, but
absolutely
not for this podcast. Not for this podcast.
But it's time to go night.
That's right. If you have an adult beverage with you, if you happen to be listening or you're watching on YouTube, join us as we cheer on adult beverage tonight.
Yes. Beer King. Yes. Cheers to you.
That's right. Cheers, man. Cheers. So, again, this is what the podcast is all about. Two guys sitting down, having a couple of drinks, talking about a movie they love, and just having some fun with it. So we're going to definitely have some fun, and we're going to watch. We're going to start by rekindling the brain, getting you guys hyped up for it. Let's watch the trailer that came out in 2006 and see if we can't, get those memory juices going about this movie. So let's take a quick look.
When I was your age, they would say we could become cops or criminals. What I'm saying is this. When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?
This is not the regular police. This is the state police.
We are an elite unit.
This is who we're after.
Frank Costello.
You won't be paid as a regular cop, but there's a bonus involved.
So what do I do?
You will not ever know the identity of undercover people.
You have anyone in with Costello presently?
Maybe.
Do you know who I am?
Maybe not.
When I had my associates search you.
That was quick. Think he's dead already?
Get your hands off me!
I think we could work something out.
We are all convinced that Costello has at least one mole inside the Special Investigations Unit.
There are parts of my job I can't talk to you about.
Man, you are trouble.
You don't know the half of it.
You better get organized, quick.
Hey, last time I checked, I tipped you off, and you're not in jail.
Getting the feeling we got a cop in my crew.
Sooner or later, he's gonna find out who I am, and he's gonna kill me.
I can get the rat. You just gotta let me do it my way.
If you don't, it won't be me who pays for it.
There is a leak from the inside. It's real, man. Smoke him out.
You're lying to me.
There are things you don't want to know about.
What are you waiting for, honestly? I mean, do you want him to chop me up and feed me to the poor? Is that what you guys want?
How's your mother?
She's on her way out.
You all are.
Act accordingly.
Exactly. What a fucking trailer, bro. Like
Yeah.
that.
Man, beginning to end. Yeah, no, you get hyped as soon as that what is it? Sailing to Boston, right?
Oh yeah,
as
the
soon as that
Dropkick
starts
Murphys.
playing, oh man, you hear that gets the blood flowing. That sets the mood right.
Right.
It was
right.
good though to see that trailer too, because like from the beginning where he walks into the scene in the garage and then they end it at the end with him walking out, or like the end of that scene. That was like a really good way to like encompass the entire movie. And then like from beginning to end, like it's Costello like, you know, walking through, controlling, pulling the strings everywhere he goes, you know.
Listen, Costello. I mean, Nicholson playing Costello was great. Fun fact about Nicholson: he refused to wear the Boston gear. So
did
apparently he did. He did. So if you notice, he's wearing a New York hat. I think he's wearing a Yankees cap.
Yeah, he does. He does wear the Yankees hat. Yeah.
How the fuck you from Boston? You're wearing a Yankees cap, bro? Like, look, I'm not from there. I'm not from there. Look, I'm wearing my Boston shirt because I went to Boston one time and I bought a shirt off a street vendor.
That's
but
yeah, I guess you could say you've been there, right? Like,
but he was such a dick about it that he's like, fuck that. I'm not wearing Boston shit. I'm a New York guy, and he wore a fucking New York hat. Like, but it's Jack Nicholson. What are you gonna do?
I mean, you're not gonna tell Jack Nicholson no, you know. But like, it's crazy too to think about. Like, he wasn't even the original pick for that role.
No,
so, like,
he wasn't.
It was originally Al Pacino, right? He was like Scorsese's first choice.
Yeah,
and
he wanted him for that movie.
Yeah, and Pacino didn't want to do it, and it was like perfect timing because Jack Nicholson had just finished doing like all those what is it? Analyze this, analyze that, right?
Yeah,
that was Jack Nicholson. No, that was
he
De Niro.
Done some comedies. He did a bunch of comedies.
He was working on some comedies, yeah. So
yeah,
that was De Niro. I'm confusing all of them, but like, like he was doing a lot of comedy roles, and then wanted to get back into that, like serious, you know, mobster role again, like that evil role, that bad guy. And I mean, who else to do it better than Jack Nicholson, right? So like, as soon as he got that part, he was like all about it, and like, him being the second choice, he might as well have been the first one because he killed that. He was perfect for the role.
Right.
I feel like he delivered that role like out of the park, you know.
I mean, listen. They spent. I heard it was somewhere between 90 to 100 million in terms of the budget, and over 50% of it was for the actors. And I'm just going to read this cast list for you here.
Insane.
And mind you, 2006. This is their height of their A-list talent. This isn't like when they were on the come up. Like DiCaprio had already done Titanic. He did Gilbert Grape. He did. I think he did Catch Me If You Can.
Time, he had already did Catch Me If You Can, Shutter Island,
Aviator. I think
Aviator was his like top role during that time.
Yeah, I mean, so you got Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, so A-list alpha. Like this is a fucking alpha. You don't, you know. DiCaprio's on the screen. You can't take your eyes off this dude. Matt Damon.
Damon.
Matt Damon. But yeah, Good Will Hunting. You know, he's got a bunch of roles underneath his belt. He's already A-list celebrity.
Yeah.
And then you have Mark Wahlberg, who just comes off Boogie Nights, and he was on that role where he was on the award circuit for a little while. In truly probably one of his last roles that he actually acted in, like, because after that he's just a caricature of himself. Like he's
Mark
Wahlberg.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, I would say a good version of him acting would be in The Departed and Four Brothers, which was like phenomenal movie, but like in a way you could kind of see how it is Marky Mark, you know, like you see a lot of like that old school Boston badass, right? But like anything after that, no, it's a good point that you bring up. Like it's just him being Mark.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah,
say hi to your mother for me, you know, that type of thing. He becomes the Saturday Night Live sketch that they made him, so, you know. But again, he was great. Like he transformed himself in the role. You got obviously Jack Nicholson, the legend. You got Martin Sheen, Alec Baldwin. You had a young Anthony Anderson who has a bit part, but gets it at the end. But
he made it there.
Yeah. You know, you've got almost like a top ring boxing match. Like the top names are in this movie, and I hate to use this term, but they're showing their dick out, man. Like they're just flexing every acting muscle.
They were able to just sink their teeth into the role and just roll with it. You know, like I actually wonder how much of the movie was just improv, or like what was actually scripted, or if like they just went into a shoot one day and just be like, hey, just be you. Like I want to see what you can do with the role. I want to see where it takes me. You know, like how many of that, because like Mark Wahlberg's from Boston. So like he didn't have to fake the accent. He didn't have to like deliver it over the top. Like he just had to talk, and like for him it was just natural. You know, he was like, oh, like what is it, that scene with Alec Baldwin, and he was like, oh, how's your mother doing? She's good. She's busy fucking my father. It was like literally like the banter, the whole movie with the banter. He was just so quick with it and so on his feet with everything that he had to say. You would think that he was just freestyling the whole time.
Yeah, and you know, Scorsese is known for allowing some improvisation, or hey, here's what I want you to do. I think most of it is scripted, and it has, you know, it's a really tight script, but he will allow those improv moments, which created that moment that we talked about for Goodfellas, which is the, you know, why am I so funny scene. Like that's a complete riff right there, and lets him do something that the other actors aren't in on. So yeah, I mean, but again, you've got DiCaprio and Nicholson, who I believe, and Nicholson, I don't know that he respected DiCaprio at the time, but DiCaprio certainly held his own in chewing up those scenes.
Yeah, definitely did. And like at that time too, I mean, having just come off Aviator being your biggest movie of that like time frame besides Titanic, you know, like he's a young up and coming actor during this time. And Jack Nicholson's been in the game, and he's well known for roles just like this. So like, you know, for him, it was easy to just kind of run through the motions and go through that. But to kind of work with somebody new and young and have no history with, and to kind of like, in a way, like take them under your wing, you know, and like, because the whole movie, it's them two, you know, and then it's them two on one side, and then you got him and Matt Damon on the other side doing the exact same thing, and it's like mirrored, you know. And like with him and Matt Damon, I don't know if they've worked with each other before, but like, you know, it's the same concept where you have this young actor who's really good at what he does, and he can see that potential. So like for him to just be him with each of them in certain scenes, and to see how they react or what they do in those moments, it really puts them on a different level, and it's a new show of respect for Jack Nicholson, I think. Yeah.
And I think DiCaprio and Damon don't share that much screen time because they're in polar opposite ends of the spectrum, and they're looking for each other, right? So which is great. And that's the fun part of the movie, is like this will he or won't he, who knows, who's the truth. And then when it unravels in that final sequence, you are just like fucking mind blown. You're like, what the fuck just happened? And I mean, again, if you're listening to this, you hopefully have watched the movie. So spoiler alerts if you haven't.
If you haven't already, please do so now.
Stop.
And then come back to the show.
Right.
Go ahead and pause the podcast and then come back to us when you're done watching the movie.
Or keep playing the podcast in the background. Just let it ride.
We'll run through the motions together. We'll go through it.
but like I've never had a scene that literally like I gasped like holy shit, like did that just happen? Other than it first started with the guy dying next to DiCaprio, like he's walking up, the guy like splatters. You're like, what the fuck happened?
When he's walking out of the building, was it?
Yeah.
And like he's coming out. He just got done talking to the guy,
right? And everything seems to be like wrapping up.
Yeah, and he's walking out and just splatter. You're like how do you react to something like that too? Like I can't imagine being in a situation, right? Like being him in that moment and like body drops. You're like, oh shit. Like what? I just finished. I heard his voice literally like 5 seconds ago and he fell from the sky. And like being the viewer in that aspect, you're like, holy shit. Like this guy shit his pants like right there. Like we can't smell it, but I know it's there.
And what again, the false sense of the movie is over, like that's kind of what I mean. It wasn't the runtime, it was the story. I was like, okay, it's wrapping up. This is where he knows that there is a mole. He knows that the guy knows he's a mole, and we're about to meet, and then all of a sudden the fucking bullet goes off in the elevator and DiCaprio's gone, and we're like jarred, like completely like caught off guard.
I just spent all this time with him. I got invested in him. I thought he was gonna make it out.
I was shocked. and then obviously there's more shocking stuff towards the end.
It just keeps going too, as if that wasn't enough. The gears just keep going. You get like 15 more minutes of a movie after that, and you're like, "What? Stop! Just roll the credits. We're done."
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's why there are messy parts in terms of the story structure, and that's unfortunate. When again, if you're gonna nitpick Martin Scorsese, bro, you got some fucking balls. Like I mean, I'm not nitpicking. I'm telling you what I've read in terms of some of the reviews and some of the things that people, preparing for the podcast. I kind of looked at some reviews and some comments. They say it's messy. I can see the messiness, but it's really very enjoyable. So like I for everyone, if you don't know me, my sensibility is that if the movie tells a good story, has some good acting, I'm invested. I don't care about the flubs or the continuity errors. I'm not like that guy unless I'm like really invested in the movie and I'm like researching it. But it's a fucking great movie. It's got a great, and again, the story had me hooked. Will they or won't they find him? The one sequence with the phone when he fucking calls the phone.
Oh yeah,
DiCaprio's.
Oh, man, I mean that whole sequence of events. Like he finds the phone, it's coming off of a dead body, and it rings. And you're like, you're in this room with Matt Damon, and you're like, this fucking phone is ringing. Like this is evidence. I probably shouldn't touch his bag, but that fucking phone is ringing. So like you're staring at it, and then you got on the other end, you got DiCaprio. He's holding the phone and he's waiting for him to pick up, and he knows somebody's gonna answer that phone. And then you got the rat. Essentially, you got the mole on one side who's like, I need to pick up this phone, and like knowing that he was like, I probably shouldn't touch this phone because then he's gonna know I'm the fucking rat, right? And then like
right,
it's the whole thing, and then like you're in this moment with him, like, yo, is he gonna answer? And, like
right, and
you start going back and forth, and it's silent. I love that too. Like there's not a single sound happening in this scene. It is the phone ringing, and that is it. You can cut the tension with a knife, and it is beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's when you're hooked, man. I would almost compare it to Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 1 when he's hanging over the thing. If you saw it in the theater or you even at home, not a sound is made. Yeah, just because you're just like, what is going to happen next?
You feel heavy, right? It's a heavy feeling. It's just, it weighs you down, and like you don't know. You stop breathing for a second too. You're like, what do I do? Like, am I in that aircraft too, or like what's happening? You know?
Right. I'm just telling you, and that's the power of the story. If the story was shit and you don't care or weren't invested about, will there like if okay, so sometimes a story will let out all of its secrets so that you know that someone knows this and this and this. But because you don't know what other two are thinking, and there's only two people who know that DiCaprio is an actual undercover.
Yeah.
It's like intrigue, like, oh shit. And then this is Matt Damon, who is the mole. You're just like, fuck. Pick up the phone, do something, right? But it's completely that tells you that the movie has hooked you. You're invested. And so to me, it makes it rewatchable for sure. And probably one of the main reasons that I go back to watch it is that suspense. And even to this day, going back to watch it, I forget like the tension and I forget the moments, even though I know how the story is all going to end.
Yeah.
It's that good where you feel it again.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't matter. I've watched the movie 1,000 times, and every time I watch it, it's that you feel like you're there. Like you feel that tension in every scene that's supposed to be like over the top dramatic, right? Like, and they draw it up for that reason, is to make you feel that, like you want to be put in a situation that they're into. So you are placed in this room with them, and you're gonna feel that same feeling that they're feeling. So it's crazy how well they did by portraying that without even speaking a word.
Yeah. And again, the power of Scorsese, right? Like he is what makes this, again, he is a masterclass of directing. I'm actually kind of shocked, right? Like looking at his nominations and his wins. Like, okay, so I'm gonna read off to you what he was nominated for, and I'll tell you which one he actually won. He only won the Oscar one time.
The Oscar for
I think
for anything that he's done, or
I think achievement. So best director.
Okay.
He wins for The Departed. Now that's a shitty year.
Yeah.
It's a shitty year.
Oh, true. Yeah.
They had really bad, entries. Everyone knew he was going to win, but still, but let me go down his list, right?
I mean, going into the movie not expecting anything out of it and to get, a pretty prestigious award out of it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think at that point he was just he wasn't looking for the Oscar. He was just looking for the story at that point. And sometimes the directors will go for it. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's movies that they made because they really wanted that Oscar.
They really want that award.
So he gets nominated in 1981 for best director for Raging Bull. Doesn't win.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Again, I don't know all the other nominees right at that year, but he gets best director nomination for the Oscar for The Last Temptation of Christ. Now I've seen that one, but I it's not a rewatchable one for me. But he gets in 91, he gets Goodfellas. He gets nominated but loses with Goodfellas, which is certified classic. He also
who beat him out of Goodfellas? I'm curious.
I want to say it was like Dances with Wolves or some weird shit. I don't know. I got to look that up.
Man.
But he also gets nominated for best writing and screenplay and loses. Let's see. All right, then he goes on his Oscar like triumph, tour de force. He goes in 2003. He goes for Gangs of New York.
Okay.
Huge, like sweeping epic, which it wasn't well received. He goes,
it was controversial at best.
Yeah. he goes for the Oscar again for The Aviator in 2004 with DiCaprio. And he comes back and he wins in 2006 with 2007 for The Departed.
Look at that.
And then he doesn't get it again. He and mind you, the movies he didn't get it for: Wolf of Wall Street, The Irishman, didn't get it for either one of those.
The Irishman didn't get one.
No, not for directing, and not for motion picture of the year. He was nominated, but he did not win.
Wow.
And again, Mean Streets, all these movies that Scorsese made, he just wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
So And then, but then you've got DiCaprio had the same issue. All these movies that you thought for sure he'd get it. And then Matt Damon gets in on his
Matt Damon. I can't stop saying
it. Matt Damon gets in on his first try with Good Will Hunting, the fucking guy.
And I think always goes back to they always say, it's all about who you know. And there's always rumors about why it's taken this long for of all the movies that DiCaprio's ever done, he gets an Oscar for The Revenant.
Oh yeah.
So of all the movie roles that he's done and just knocked out of the park, there is no way you've ever seen a movie with DiCaprio in it and be like, that was ass. Every movie, every role that he goes into, even Django, that whole scene with him in Django, that was completely just emotion. He cuts his hand mid-scene and just kept going. And that's real terror and fear in this woman's eyes as he's bleeding out of his hand, and just kept rolling with it. That's a level of commitment that you don't see in some acting. So, for him to make it all the way up until The Revenant to get an Oscar is insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, he just, they just wouldn't give it to him. What's Eating Gilbert Grape was one of his first roles. The Aviator, he doesn't get it for. He loses it for Blood Diamond. He loses it for Wolf of Wall Street. Wins for The Revenant, and
another great one too, though.
Yeah, and I think he was he nominated for Django? I don't think he was. So again, the guy puts out performance after performance and doesn't get it. But again, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
He just, I say it just so I can hear you say that again. Oh my God! So no, look, this movie was just. Okay, so forget the heavyweights, right? Because we can talk Jack Nicholson, we can talk, Mark Wahlberg, and again, Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights, I think, is one of his best performances. But he's essentially the big doofus, just like in Boogie Nights, he kind of plays that dumb role. But there's a whole sequence where Mark Wahlberg is flexing his acting chops against DiCaprio, where he's
and is it
fucking with him? Yeah, he's
his interview.
Yeah, so what's going on? Yeah, the interview. Yeah, he's
what's he say? He was like, what's a lace curtain fuck like you doing in the Staties? He's like, people are always rising and falling in America, right? He's like, who said that? He's like, Hawthorne. He's like, what's the matter? He's like, what's the matter, jackass? Don't know any Shakespeare? That whole scene is my favorite Mark Wahlberg moment.
And he had the accent. And he was actually acting. He was actually acting.
Exactly. It's just him. It was just so. He was the comedic relief without having to try to be the comedic relief. He just did such a good job with the role to just talk shit. Just go into a room full of people who are thinking you're there for serious shit and talk shit.
Right. Just fucking make it happen. Just flex it. Go for it. Go. Take it easy. But again, and what about his hair? His hair in that movie was fucking the bowl / sideways.
Yeah. he brought it back. That's what it was. He brought the 90s haircut back.
He looked like the guy from, was it No Country for Old Men, Anton Chigurh. That's what he looked like.
And if he was worked up, oh man, it just got all over the place.
But again, so the story pretty much is, and I will we got to, for those of you watching on the podcast, we got a little intro here. So essentially, you've got the storyline being that DiCaprio is the guy on the inside. He's going to go undercover, and only two guys know to bring down Costello, which I think Costello is. He was in real life. He was supposed to be. I forgot the guy's name. The guy from Black Mass. Shit. We'll have to figure that out. But yeah. So the Costello character is a fake name, a pseudonym. But it's supposed to be this guy from Black Mass. And again, they're trying to infiltrate his gang. They're trying to bring him down. So they got DiCaprio, but what people don't know is Costello has that, mole on the inside. He's got Matt Damon, he's been grooming since he's a kid to be his, keep him out of trouble. So he's got him in the police force, makes detective, and he's the inside informant. He keeps him out of trouble. So it's already from the beginning, the first 18-minute sequence. It's a phenomenal job of telling the story. In fact, I say 18 minutes because I know for a fact that the credits don't roll until after that sequence, that first intro sequence. So
it establishes who is who and what they're doing,
right?
And like essentially being that like this scene right here, like is when he first introduces himself to Matt Damon's character,
right?
And he's like, yeah, you like comic books, and then he's like, you know who I am, don't you? You know where to find me. And then this is it. Like he goes, he finds them, and he starts grooming them right from the beginning. Just like going into those scenes, those transitions where he like from a kid to now he's in the classroom being a state trooper, and it's to show that passing of time. And as soon as all that's done, you get your title. Now it's time for the show.
Right. Because now you've got the established story, you've got everything sort of set up for you so that you understand who we're dealing with. And that's what I like, is that he outlines in the movie Matt Damon is the mole. Like there's no fucking guess who. It's pretty straightforward.
You know right from the bat that it's Matt Damon. Like he was groomed for this. He was meant for this. And like right here when he tells them, and then he's like, school is out. No more pencils. No more homework. It's time to get to work.
And then you contrast it to Leo. So again, Leo around the same time, coming up in the force, has his story to tell. So you see Matt Damon and his trajectory that he's on. And then now you're watching Dicaprio, and you start to see that, okay, he's the guy who's the straight-laced guy. He just wants to, do well in the force. And what's great and what's crazy is that it's this kind of juxtaposition between the two of them. You see them both rise in the ranks. You see them both, sort of function with everybody else, and how both of them are kind of walking in the same path. Again, one is working for the other guy's trying to get him in trouble. So again, just like great storytelling, and the banter and the back and forth is just amazing here. So
this is the scene here where he just rips into him.
Yeah, for sure. And then again, DiCaprio, and you can see like the transition of the character. Both of them are pretty straight-laced, clean-cut guys, and obviously Matt Damon stays that way. But DiCaprio, like right here in this particular still, we see a young-looking DiCaprio, clean-cut. He looks like a cop,
fresh out the academy.
Yeah.
He literally looks blue. Like he's still reading off his study material.
For sure.
They're just fucking with him the whole time. And it's funny because it's not even just them. Like before that scene even takes place, and I'll call him Mini Costello, right? Like Matt Damon's character walks into this to introduce himself to the undercover detective unit, and he's pretty much like at this point worked his way up to detective, and he goes to introduce himself to the undercover guys, which is Matt Damon and Martin Sheen's character. And they don't give a shit. He's the new guy. He's the clean cut guy. They're just waving him off pretty much. But as he's walking into that office, Leonardo DiCaprio sitting in the chair, and that's the first time they pass each other. And the secretary at the front desk is like, "Hey," like all flirty to Matt Damon as he's walking in. And then when he walks out, she looks at DiCaprio's character, and she's like, "Oh, you can go in now." And it's like it's already been established, right? Even the secretary fucks with him, it shows that like it's a weird, like, I don't know. I guess like if you get a taste for somebody, you just treat them a certain way, and they show that without actually having to say like, "Oh, this guy's fucked up. Everybody treat him like shit,"
No, it's true. It's true. And what I like is the fact that they put him through the ringer. They put him in jail.
Oh, yeah.
And that toughens him up, right? I mean, or at least gets him on the inside to know some of these guys and start making some noise. So, you start to see that both of them are in a different path altogether. And even when they get released, right? He's got to play this game now. He's got to play this. Man, I got dogs fucking barking in the background. You hear that shit?
For a second, I thought it was my window. I was about to go check. Like, oh, do I need to be worried? I got Yorkies in my yard now.
No, you got fucking. Hey guys, it's not a fucking professional studio. Where I'm not in the CBS studios recording and shit. So, fucking enjoy the dogs. They like The Departed.
They're part of the podcast now.
Those dog sound effects are brought to you in part by Anchor.fm, who hosts my podcast. Fucking, you gotta love this shit, man.
Love it.
You gotta love it. Oh my god, completely threw me off the fucking what we were talking about. And I just thought, because you know what it is, man. I'm recording and we're putting this together, right? And I'm sitting here and I hear the dogs barking. I'm like, oh shit, can they hear it? Because I can't hear anything. I can just hear you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck? Anywho, let's get back to our
damn dogs.
The damn dogs. Let's get back to our analysis of this fucking movie. Hey, look, backwards hat, brimless hat. You see DiCaprio is rocking the Big Llama look.
Hat. Look at him. He actually looks just like you.
Exactly. You just got to put some glasses on this guy.
There. I didn't know you were in this movie, Llama. That's crazy.
I am in this movie. You see that?
Watching you this whole time. My idol.
Leonardo Dicaprio. Yeah, I think I need another
shirt.
Exactly. I think I need another beer.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, as we're discussing it here, now he starts to meet with Frank Costello's guys.
Yes.
And they're fucking a hoot, these guys.
Oh, man. Now he's in there. He sits down. The first thing he does is I'll get a cranberry juice. Yeah. The dude next to him is like, it's a diuretic. My wife drinks it when she's on a period. Looks at him, dead in his eye. You on your period? Like no hesitation, beats his ass.
Exactly, man. Like fucking cranberry juice, man. Why would you order that shit?
Go to a bar, and then this man here, what was his name? Was it Mickey? Right? This dude in the leather jacket here. That was like this is Costello's right hand man.
Was it Mr. French? No.
Mr. French was it?
Mr. French. Yeah.
So Mr. French is Costello's right hand man, and he's sitting at this bar and sees everything goes down, and he breaks up the fight. And then he's like, "There's certain people in this world that you don't fucking touch." And he's not quite the guy that you don't fucking touch, but I'm saying don't fucking touch him.
Exactly.
He was like, "What you order?" Cranberry juice. What do you want? Your period?
That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it.
Good.
And it's such a Boston thing to call him out like that, like
yeah,
fucking cranberry juice in the fucking period.
So good.
Oh man. So then you continue going down the path, and you have you start to see that they know that there's a mole on the inside, and this is the genius part, right? Is that Matt Damon starts to kind of give himself up a little bit, not him, but like let in on the secret a bit, because that takes the scent away from him. If he
can pass the blame, pass the puck, like, oh, all right, this is my chance. I can start feeding it towards somebody else, and they can veer away from me possibly being it.
Right, and gaining some trust to try to get to information because he knows that somebody else is on the inside.
Yeah, and then so many quotable moments too in this, like in those like scenes, because. Like this one too, like this scene here when they're in the elevator. I'll get back to that one, but like the scene when they're all in a conference room, like I quote that almost every day. Where I'd walk into a room and I'd look at Chat Mom and I'm just like, what's the name? The Departed. Like, this is like Alec Baldwin. Like, we're not here to find the killer. Well, we're not here to find a missing body. We're here to catch Costello. Right. Like, oh, okay. Like, oh, my bad. No. You just got to play that role. He knows why he's in that fucking room. He knows that they're all looking for Costello, and that's who did it. But he's got to play the part. He's got to. Oh, what was the name of the Departed? Like, we're not here to find out who's missing. This
exactly.
Scene, I love this scene because, again, going back to Chat Mom, I quote this scene to her almost every day. And it's so what's her name? Vera Farmiga, right?
Yeah, Farmiga.
She plays pretty much the psychiatrist in this movie, where she talks to police officers who fired their weapons on the line and got to talk about it. And she says it in a quirky way, just like that. And he takes a liking to her. Obviously, the lighting is directly on her, so they make her the highlight of this scene. And then on the way out, he's like, "Oh, how could I find you?" She's like, "Oh, well, you'll have to fire your gun in the line of duty to come talk to me." And my favorite quote, and I say it to Chat Mom every day, is, "I'd stab somebody in the fucking eye with an ice pick if it gets me dinner with you."
Again, a very Boston thing to say.
Very Boston thing to say. I'd stab somebody in the fucking eye with an ice pick if it gets me dinner with you.
Oh my God. And again, it's the charm of the movie. I kind of, not that I wouldn't say she's a throwaway character, but it was a good fun adding to the story. But there's intrigue with her that in the first viewing I didn't appreciate. Like at first I was like, why? I get caught up in that. Sometimes I'm like, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, why is this have to be here? And then when in future watches you realize that she starts to realize some things, and then they're both doing some things with her.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the
as if to add to the whole, like, these guys are playing the same field on different platforms. They're literally on every aspect of this movie, whether it's Costello or this fucking woman, they're both playing on the same field the entire time. Yeah, and like it's another level, and like it took me a long time to actually appreciate her character in that way, because like for a long time I was just so mad at her character, like you get invested. It's one of those movies you get so invested in every character that this movie shows, and she comes into the mix and you're like, okay, we got a love interest, and then she becomes a love interest for the other character, and you're like, what the fuck, like all right, so she's two-timing out here. But like, yeah, it's one of those things where you start to hate her, not just as a character but as a person, right? Because you got on one side, you have clearly this person who needs psychiatric help, and instead of being that healthcare provider and being like, you are coming in here and treating me like shit just so that you can get opiates and go home and just fucking drown your sorrows away, I'm not going to be that person, but instead she's just like, fine, I'll write you a prescription. Is that what you want? And like, you're like, whoa, hold on. Whoa. Where'd you get your fucking license?
Exactly. The fuck is wrong with you?
And it's funny too, like looking at the IMDb trivia and shit, like they bring that up, and like, what was it? She met, like, for the role, she met with LAPD psychiatrists, like, to prepare for the role and like to kind of get in the right headspace and stuff. And the psychiatrist read the script that she met with and told her straight up, like, this psychiatrist is doing everything wrong. Like you have an actual psychiatrist telling you, like, yo, this is fucked up.
Right. Don't fucking do that.
Please don't put my name on any of this. What's the name of the character? Change it. It's not me.
Exactly. If there's any semblance or resemblance to me, I'm going to be fucking pissed. He just brought psychiatry down.
Scorsese? All right, maybe you could say it. I read it.
Yes, I'll tell you, man. If Scorsese came out to be like, hey, man, we want to use the name Big Llama, I'll be like, fuck it. You're Big Llama. You take it. Take it.
I'm little.
That's all I ask
is I get now.
Yeah, exactly. All I ask is I get a small bit role in your movie. That's all I ask.
Have you walking in the back, like spotting Bigfoot, where you're like, oh shit, where's Llama?
I'll be like fucking Fight Club. I'll be the fucking dick that shows up in like just like an image.
Just like a transition scene. It's just like you sliding across the scene, and then that's it. Like in no part of the movie, it's just your face. Big Llama show. No, I'll keep going.
I'll be in the fucking director's cut, the one that doesn't fucking make the movies, right?
The theaters, right?
Oh God. Oh dear God. This fucking I'd give my left fucking testicle to be in a movie with Scorsese, bro. Actually, I've already had my kids. I'll give you both fucking testicles. That's what you want.
I'm done. Keep both of them.
They got hormones and shit. I'll be all right.
You want with them. I'll say
See,
it donated to science.
That's the type of analysis you get on the Be Kind Rewind podcast. You get fucking
absolutely
the body parts I would give to be in movies, and you get dogs fucking barking. That's what you get. Testicle talking, dogs barking.
Gotta let them know, man. Make sure your fucking kids are in bed. All right, that's step
a clip.
one.
That's a clip right there.
That's a clip.
If I could clip that shit.
Clip it.
Clip it. Dogs barking and fucking testicles. Maybe I shouldn't drink so much during the podcast.
Wait, what did you say it was? It was.
Oh, when I'm drinking?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that. No. That's a trade secret. I'm not sponsored. I know what you're getting at, you fucker.
This podcast is brought to you by beer. Just beer.
You're going to be fucking departed.
Stab someone in the eye with a fucking ice pick if it gets me beer with you.
Exactly. Oh man, this show's going off the fucking rails. I love it.
Man, I love it.
But this is why we do it, man. This is why. So in this particular scene right here, going to get back to the movie. What's funny is he calls Jack Nicholson dad. The whole time he's talking to him, which is a cover, but at the same time is kind of
it's kind of not foreshadowing, but it's kind of like, yeah, he pretty much did raise him. You know, he was
right.
Instead of going around fucking around in the streets, Costello took him under his wing at a young age, and he was that father figure for him. You know, who he always wanted to be. It's like watching your favorite comic like book heroes, you know, grow up in front of you. You know, and he brought you under his ring to be like, hey, you're gonna take my place someday, so stick with me, and I'll take care of you. And that's what it was. Oh man, this scene, Jesus.
Well, DiCaprio's got to like start to fucking show out that he's built for the life, and he stomped a mud hole in this guy.
Yeah,
in
he's definitely given himself a name at this point. Like, he beat the shit out of this dude in Costello's bar.
Yeah,
right off the bat, right? And then that shit. So that whole scene, they're in the bar, and Costello comes in, and he's like, "You know who the fuck I am?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Come with me." Yeah, like this scene right here. He's like, "You know who I am?" And then he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, follow me." He's like, "It wasn't a fucking question." And like at this point, he's making a name for himself, right? And then he just starts going a fucking. At this point, he has a broken arm. In that scene where he beat those two guys in the grocery store, he breaks his arm or he breaks his hand.
Yeah,
and he shows up back at Costello's bar to have a cranberry juice, I guess, with a cast on. You know, he's got the cast on, and he's clearly injured at this point. But he has to keep doing what he got to do. So he's going to keep showing up at Costello's bar to make sure that he gets in close. And Costello finally notices. And he doesn't notice him for what he's doing. He notices him because his fucking cousin.
Oh, that's right.
Because of his fucking cousin, yeah. And then he's like, "Are you gonna stop doing fucking stupid ass coke deals with the Puerto Ricans on my block with your dumb ass cousin?" He's like, "Yes, yes."
Like, when he's smashing the cast, right?
Smashing his own boot on his cast.
Oh my god!
Just pure pain. Probably just got it wrapped up and went to the bar. Like 30 minutes apart, and then gets it smashed again with his own boot. Talk about disrespectful. Well, just savage.
You're gonna kick your own ass right now.
Yeah, exactly. Take your shoes off. Are you fucking kidding me? Take your fucking shoes off.
I mean, it goes back to like Nicholson's performance in this. And again, people say like, okay, Nicholson was being Nicholson. No, he was pretty invested in the role. I think there's some snarky moments that he becomes that character that he always is, but it's his acting chops and the ability to like bring you into the role. Yeah. That even if he does the same thing or he looks the same way, you're okay with it because you're invested in his performance. But yeah, Nicholson delivers a great performance here, and really kind of cements the story. Now, moving to and again, I'm not moving to the end of the movie, but like the fact that he's a fucking FBI informant at the end of this is just fucking crazy.
All this time, and he's shouting out the fucking rooftops. We have a fucking rat. we have a fucking rat in here, and I'm losing my guys, my top guys. I'm losing them because we got a fucking rat. And the whole fucking time,
it's him, right?
FBI informant, like the whole time, and just for them to find out too, the way they did. And then he's like, "Yo, are you fucking kidding me? Like all this shit, all this time, all the fucking work I did for this guy, and he was fucking feeding the FBI shit."
And the fact that, like, and again, I love reading into movies like this. Matt Damon is doing the same fucking thing.
Yep.
We've got a mole. We got a fucking mole. And
we got a mole in the department. I got a feeling that Costello's got one of your guys there, but I also think that there's a mole in the department.
Right.
Boom.
Right.
Oh, dropped a bomb on that one. Like, who the fuck is the mole? Man, I don't know. Shit. Mole. What?
But again, him and Costello are in the same fucking lanes, doing the same thing to each area, and it's like, and I love the fact that Matt Damon didn't know that he was the informant, which when that reveal happens, it's fucking sad. Like, it's like, oh, but at the same time,
all that work you were doing for what?
But at the same time, the evil that lurks in Matt Damon's character comes out, because now it's survival. It's about me, like, living past this shit.
Yeah.
So,
he really starts going off the rails too, because like after that, he pretty much, like, what is it? So we know that what's his name? Queenan, right? The Martin Sheen's character is Officer Queenan.
Oh
I think he's head of the detective, like, department or whatever. And then he's the one they launch off the roof after meeting with DiCaprio's character, and like they launch him off the roof. Now the department's out of a head. Now it's Mark Wahlberg who takes over. But what happens? They get into a fight at the precinct, and he's like, "You son of a fucking bitch! I know it was you." He had him. He had him from day one. Mark Wahlberg was like, "I know you're the fucking rat. You're a fucking rat. I got your fucking number," and he got suspended. And he's like, "Fuck the suspension. Take my badge too. I don't give a shit." And like just went off the fucking rails. So what happens now? The entire department is out of a fucking leader. So who steps in? Fucking Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
Fucking Matt Damon.
Fucking schmoozes his way in there. He's like, "Shit, everybody left. I'll take a seat here. Fuck it." Like, nobody's gonna step up. All right. You don't want to give me your guys? I'm taking over this department. That's exactly what it was. He kept asking. He kept pinching fucking guys. And that's why Mark Wahlberg caught on to the character. He was like, "Why do you keep asking about my guys? You don't need to know where my guys are." And then he's like, "I need to know where every fucking person is, because we got a mole in the department." He's like, "Who's to say that you're not the mole?" And then that's it. It went downhill. And then he's like, "You calling me a mole? I'll fucking kill you."
Right.
Like, just went off the rails.
And then eventually, Dignam leaves, right? Yep. And the great way that it's, I don't know that it's portrayed great, but I think the way that they spliced him into the movie and the cuts, you forget about this guy.
Yeah.
So when he fucking returns at the end, you're like, oh shit, fuck, this guy.
And like, talk about like the theme of the movie, right? Is the rat. Who's the rat? Who's the mole? That's the whole theme of the movie. And then like by this point, Queenan's dead, and shit goes off the fucking rails, right? Like they're meeting up in secret, and he's starting to fucking lose his shit. Like DiCaprio's like losing his mind at this point. He's like getting close to shit, and he feels like he's getting like slowly pinched in. And like this, like Mark Wahlberg was just like, "I don't give a shit what happens to you. You got a fucking job to do." And he's like, "You're not the one fucking out here." By the end of that movie, we found out he was there the whole fucking time. And like it goes to show like who actually is the rat. Who is it? And everybody there had a role in being a rat. And like even Matt Damon's partner, where he like shit starts going off the rails, and his partner shoots the other detective. And then he's like, "Well, you thought Costello had only you?" He's like, "He's got a bunch of us in the inside." I was like, "Oh shit!" This man was like side by side from him since the academy, And then like at the end of the movie, he's like, "You thought you were the only one?" Oh, okay.
Exactly. And that's when like you're like, "Oh shit!" Like, how many more are there? Like that was what was so good about the final act was like the shit starts to go down, and you're like, how many are there more? Is there somebody else? It's like, fuck. And then I questioned, and I don't even know the answer to this day, but was Dingham a bad guy? You know, I think he's a good guy, but I think at the time,
the way he executed this man at the end of that movie,
with the things on his feet and everything.
He had the jumpsuit, he had the bags over his shoes. There was no trace of this man being there. The only thing that possibly could have given him a trace of being there was his fucking haircut. That was it. The one thing he didn't wear, he's like, I'm not putting a shower cap on. Are you fucking kidding me? I got this haircut. Like, Jesus. That was the one thing that would probably get him in like post investigation. But even then, you know, who's showing up to the investigation and being like, oh, I found a hair, but I ain't gonna test it because that's Costello. That's my guy. He's been taking care of me this whole time. You know, like, how many rats were there? That's why this movie does such a good job with portraying you. Like, what direction is it gonna go? Like, what do I believe? And it's always gonna raise that question, right? Was Mark Wahlberg in on the whole thing? Or was he trying to get revenge for Queen? You know?
Yeah. And then you got like the intrigue of, oh, I gave him the wrong fucking address.
Oh,
and I mean, that's when I was like I was glued to the screen. I was like, wait, we get to the wrong fucking place. Oh God, like.
What's funny too is that before this scene, they were all hanging outside of this spot, this hideout. They were all hanging outside, and it was him and the other guy. They were hanging outside, like pulling security pretty much. And they were making a joke where everybody who walked by was a cop. And they kept making jokes about it. And when Costello showed up, and he's like, he's a cop. And not Costello, shit, what the fuck was his name? DiCaprio's character. You know, like he walks by, and then he's like, oh, he's a cop. He's like, what the
Billy.
fuck did you say?
Yeah.
Billy, yeah. He's like, what you fuck did you say? And then he's like, oh, we're playing this game. You know, where somebody walks by and we call him a cop. And then like some old lady walks by and he's like, see that purse? Wire. She's a cop. It was like little stupid things like that, but it was that little poke. They just enough to poke the bear and just be like, fuck, did they find me out? And he just did well enough to not break it. So he was like, okay, good joke. And then just went in.
And this guy knew. This guy, I forgot his name. I think it's I want to say it's Delahunt or something like that. But I think he knew, and he told them. I never said anything though. I knew, but I never said anything. Yeah. And that's when you start to fucking in this part, DiCaprio was like losing his shit.
He's like, they had me. And like he died. How lucky? How fucking lucky do you have to be? He's
exactly.
Like, I gave you the wrong address, but you showed up at the right one. Why were you
there?
Why were you there?
Shit. Like that, and you can see it in DiCaprio's performance in his face. He's like, oh fuck, like I'm done.
He told him straight up, he's like, I gave you the wrong address. It was a 6, not a 7, or something like that. He's like, but you were at the right address. He was like, why were you there? And he was like, I told you I was running late. I wasn't anywhere. He was like, you were there. I saw you there.
Yeah.
I gave you the wrong address. And then he just dies. And then at that point, I would have done the same thing. Honestly, I'd have walked away. I would not hang around and like mourn this man. No, this man had me. I'm panicked, like full on panic attack. I'm anxiety ridden. I'm going home. I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, he had him right there, dead to rights, man. He was ready to go. And then this scene is the classic, the cell phone scene we talked about just earlier, where
tension.
I mean,
by the way, I had that same phone. I had that same phone. My father had that phone in pink.
So,
man, right there.
So random question about the flip phone, right? Like this particular model. Did you ever pull up the antenna?
Oh, every time. Even though I didn't have to. Every time. It made me feel so cool. Every time before I answered, it just City Moore, you kill him, we chill him.
We flip it right here. There we go. Let's go. Oh my god.
And then it went all downhill when I got the Razor. No more antenna.
Oh shit. And it was that flat phone.
Yup. Watch, I can put this phone in my back pocket and sit on it without breaking it.
That's insane. But But again, performance of two guys in two separate scenes, two different locations, and you felt every fucking second of this scene.
Oh my
DiCaprio's face just like telegraphs exactly what he's thinking.
What's phenomenal, I can't even speak, the beer's getting to me. What's phenomenal about this scene is that, you know, like at this point, Billy is losing his fucking mind. He can't trust anybody, and he knows that. And then you have Matt Damon, who is just he's being a rat. He's doing what he's good at. So, like, he's staring at this phone, and he's like, that's a dead man's phone ringing. I need to pick it up because I know if I pick it up, I'm going to find out who the rat is for Costello. He's like, that's my rat. I'm going to figure out who this man is. So what does he do? He answers the phone as the new head of the department.
Yep.
Without hesitation. Slides right in there like a true fucking mole. Slides right in there. He's like, oh my God, thank God we found you. What? Like, how did you do that so effortlessly? You know, like, you didn't even think about it. This man looked at the phone for 2.5 seconds and was like, hello. And then hung up. And then he calls back and then answers again. He's like, thank God we found you. I don't know if you know this, but Queenan's dead and Marky Mark just got suspended. I'm going to be taking over. I need you to come in and we'll take care of some of the paperwork and stuff just so he could put a face on him. Fucking nuts. And he's like, no, I don't fucking trust you. Fuck you. Where's Queen? He's like, he's dead. Like, I want to talk to this guy. Give me Dingham. I told you he's suspended. He's no longer head of the department. He's like, nah, I want Dingham. The whole time, no matter how much they fought throughout the whole movie, he's like, I want Dingham. Give me Dingham.
Right. Because you could trust that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You had his trust there, but again, the performances and the storyline leading into this last hurrah of the scenes is just like again, like we said, movie making magic, man. Like, it's fucking, it's a master at his craft. It's Scorsese just like fucking with you in this movie. And again, why his movies are so rewatchable is because they're about characters. They're about the story and the characters and how he wields the camera. So, you know, you're there, you're hooked, you're in. Like he gets you in from the beginning. That first 18-minute sequence, again, we're going right back to it. That 18-minute sequence sets the scene, the stage for you, and you know exactly where you are. You know what the characters are doing. You know why they're doing it, and that's why you're invested. And then the story is just good. The actors are good, and then you get, you get the fucking. I wouldn't say it's the greatest breakdown, it's ever happened, but you start to get like one of the best endings to a movie ever. Like you start to see all the pieces unravel.
Yeah.
Everything starts to go like fucking sideways. This is when we're watching the part here when Costello reveals that he's the informant to Matt Damon. He's been shot. And like, that's true heartbreak right there from the father, like a father and son perspective.
Yeah,
again,
I mean, looking up, this man was his idol, like he looked up to him. He wanted to be him one day, and he knew he had the potential to be him one day. He was brought up with the mindset that he was going to take over the industry, and being that he did all this for him in the end to figure it out. Like, he was informing the FBI the entire time. And when he finally like confronts him about it, and then he was like, a fucking FBI informant? Are you fucking kidding me?
Right, exactly.
Like, all the shit I did for you wasn't enough. And then he's like, oh, please. Like, that was his response. Oh, please, be realistic. Fucking shoot him. No hesitation. He was like, all right, that's all you got to say. Cool.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the evil of his character.
Yeah.
Like he was heartbroken. He was heartbroken and hurt, but immediately switched into survival mode. Like, okay, you're a fucking informant.
Yeah.
Done. I got to survive. Now, and then Matt Damon is thinking of the next move already. Like, he's already thought of what the next step is.
Yeah. He's already got a plan in motion.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's so fucking quick on his feet. When he does get into
scary how well he did that too.
Yeah.
Like, every moment where you're like, oh shit, how's he going to react? He already had an answer. It was impressive to see. Like, Because like you know for a fact that there are people out there who can do shit like that, like on the fly, just like come up with something real quick, you know, like just an answer. And this man, by the time he made the decision to shoot him, had about 5 steps of what he was going to do next. You know, and like there was no question at this point in the movie that you knew he was going to be okay until Mark Wahlberg showed up, and like that was it.
Yeah, you see how like in this transition, like he goes from a concerned face, right, to like it's over, right? Like he switches like immediately.
That yeah, like not so much remorse, but just that like relief of like, all right, this is what I got to do. There, like his face completely changed.
Yeah, he switches it up, and then he just takes care of business. He knows at that point, right there, at the point where he's pointing the gun, yeah. And he knows what he's got to do, and he knows what the next step has to be. And so,
what does he do? He gets on the radio. I got Costello. I got him over here. He's shot.
Yep, and then he's being celebrated.
Yep, he's getting celebrated at the end.
He has like he's 3 steps ahead of everybody else in the movie. But again, lurking in the shadows is fucking Dingham. Dingham is out there. And you forget
no idea where he's at.
You forget this guy is even still in the movie. You're like, fuck it, he's gone. Like I haven't seen him in 20 minutes.
He leaves he leaves that scene, and directly after that scene is when shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
And like so much happens in a span of like 20 minutes where you legitimately forget who's who anymore. And you finally walk into the scene and they finally shake hands.
Right. And now
they finally interact.
And now it's fucking gold, man. Like these guys are they're facing each other and they're fucking showing off to each other like fucking like the scene is such an elevated scene at that point that, well, the story elevated it already, but
yeah,
now you got these 2 guys just like fucking swinging at each other.
Yeah, because like watching it up until this point, we know who the rats are, we know who the moles are, but they don't. They know that there is a mole. They don't know who yet until this envelope shows up on the desk.
Right,
and that's when Billy's like, "I fucking got him."
Yep.
He's like, I got him. I finally fucking got him. This piece of shit. All right. And then I'm going to walk away from this because I know that he's going to try and kill me. I know that exactly. I'm next.
Like right there. Like
that realization.
His face tells it all. Like he'll sit there and he just like, oh, fuck. Like, what am I going to do now?
I gave this envelope to Queenan before he fucking fell off the roof. Now I know he wasn't like he knew right off the bat that he wasn't just falling off the roof. He was thrown off, obviously. But like Costigan, yeah. Billy Costigan. So like
that's it.
Sends the tape to Costello not Costello. To
the psychiatrist, right?
No. He sends this tape to Matt Damon to listen to.
Yes.
And it's the recording of the conversation between Costello and him. And out of spite, I guess. I don't know why she listened to the tape. I think she was just tired of the sneakiness and like just tired of like not knowing what he did on a day in and day out basis, you know, like it could have just been anything. And she listens to the tape and now everything blows up in his face.
And what's surprising is he doesn't kill her.
He doesn't kill her because he does legitimately love her.
Yeah.
And like even on the IMDb page, like I didn't know this up until I read this, but Matt Damon, like for that character, made it a point to make the character impotent to counter Frank's macho personality. And that's a different way to look at it, right? Because you have the scene where, you know, like everybody looks happy and stuff, and they wake up in the morning, and then she's like, "It's okay, it happens sometimes, you know, like, you know, we'll keep trying and stuff." And then he's like, "I gotta go to work." And like it's a false masculinity thing, and then it kind of like puts it in a different bracket, right? Like, oh, is he doing this because he's impotent? Like, man can't have kids, he can't get it up. Is that why he does what he does? The way he does it, you know, like it's crazy, and it puts it in a different mindset, you know. And I never knew that up until now, which is awesome.
I saw a couple of posts. I didn't watch the videos or read the posts, but in researching and getting ready, like I saw a couple of YouTubers made videos talking about is Colin gay? Like was he gay? Was that part of it? But again,
he just needed that that filler, just to say, hey, I'm not gay. It's 2006. It wasn't as accepted back then, so and especially for if the movie was portrayed in 2006, okay, it still wasn't as popular, or it still wasn't as accepted in society. It was still kind of looked down upon and commented on and stuff. So it was still an uncomfortable feeling for some people, where they were still making jokes, they were still making masculine jokes and things like that. And up until that point, if the movie was even filmed, or the time frame took place even before that, then it was just elevated at that point, then it really wasn't accepted. So being in a society today where it's a little bit more accepted, you could probably watch the movie and just be like, why is that weird? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a good point to bring up. Was he trying to just hide the fact that he was indeed homosexual? And it's a different mindset.
I mean, again, there's a number of theories you can go with. Was he or was he not? Or does he want to necessarily risk having a kid? Like he's in his life, like he's so
does he want to have a kid? Yeah.
And I think that's what a good movie does, is that it makes you think about the characters and talk about the what ifs, or the background scenes and things. So shit, the fact that we're still contemplating, was he gay? Was it on purpose? Why was he not having relations with her? That's fucking,
yeah.
That's again, a good movie. A good movie will make you do that. And then we get to the infamous elevator scene where
you see his true colors in this scene. This is when he comes out, because this is, like you said, up until all of this happening, he's in fight or flight mode. He's in survival mode, and he's been 3 steps ahead the entire time. And then at this point, he's in the elevator, he's in cuffs, and the actual cop in all of this got him in cuffs, and he's ready to turn him in, and he's ready to explain his piece. He's got proof. He's got evidence to put you away forever. And what does he do? He fucking lays into him. He just gives it to him, and then he's like, "Oh, what the fuck do you think you got? You know who the fuck I am?" And it just goes on a rant, just goes off. Crazy.
But the great thing is, now this is where what I like. This is a good way to subvert your expectations. Again, traditional movie formula will tell you the movie's ending. Bad guy's caught. DiCaprio's the hero. We're good. We're good at this point.
We got him. We got him.
If you're right at that moment, you're breathing. You're like, all right, this fucking thing is done. Costello's got his. Damon was caught. People have the evidence.
Costigan's bringing him in. He's about to get the reward that he deserves.
Exactly.
The whole time, even when they killed Costello, Matt Damon put it on record. He was like, by the way, I want to go on record and say that I am nominating Costigan for the Legion of Merit.
Right.
And which is the highest prestigious award you can get in the force. But he even at that point, just to have that platform and be like, yeah, celebrate me, but by the way, let me show you how humble I am, right? Let me show you what a good guy I am. By the way, I just want to go on record and say I want to nominate Costigan for the Legion of Merit. And then you get this fucking scene.
Right, right. I mean,
he's like, you know who the fuck I am. He's like, you really think you're gonna fucking walk away from this? Nobody walks away from this.
Right. Because that's I think what we missed is that he was telegraphing that you're not going to fucking walk away from this. So I thought maybe it was no matter what you do to me, somebody's going to get you. Somebody's, you're going to get got by somebody else. Didn't know in the next second,
literally,
he was going to fucking get caught right there.
Not even in a subtle way. The dude got shot in the fucking face.
Right.
You spent the whole movie with him up until this point. And just for what? To get off an elevator and get blasted in the fucking face. No. No. I'm done watching, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's it's the audible gasp, like fuck, what?
Yeah, like
what?
No,
and then
happen.
right. Then it's the denial and the fucking anger. You're like,
yeah,
what the fuck? I just spent this whole movie cheering for DiCaprio, and I thought it was over, and now he's
he
fucking
shot
dead,
forehead, bro. Like, what now?
What makes it? That's
what
exactly
now?
What?
Where do we go?
And then we were like, who is this guy who shot him? We're like, what?
And who is it? His fucking partner.
Right.
His partner waiting at the end. He's like, you thought you were the only one? Costello had eyes everywhere.
Yeah. And then poor Anthony
This is
Anderson,
when it just goes off the rails.
Anthony Anderson gets it.
Oh, man.
Thanks for coming, Anthony Anderson. We appreciate you.
But then, of course, in that fight or flight moment, what does Matt Damon do?
Yep.
Fucking shoots his partner. No hesitation to, just gets up.
Right. He's like, give me the gun.
Yeah, give me that. I'll clean that. Boom.
Boom. He's fucking done.
He's how much trust do you have to have in somebody after literally killing you? Like Anderson was another one who was at the academy with him the entire time.
Right.
It was the three of them. They were in the same class. They actually no. Anderson's character was in the academy with Costigan.
Yeah.
He was with DiCaprio's class. So like the fact that like literally all these guys who went through this together essentially, and then they're all just blamming each other off. The only person there that wasn't on Costello's books was Costigan, technically.
Yeah.
He was in with Costello. He was literally worked his way up to be one of his right-hand men. But he was full through state trooper, 100%.
Yeah. Now, I want to bring attention to this particular image that we're looking at right now. Notice the X on the glass. And I heard this in the podcast, in a podcast that I was listening to. But I if you look in the scenes where you see the X or the letter X or something symbolizing X, the person dies.
Okay.
So it's homework for you guys to take from the podcast. Go back and rewatch it.
Count
right. If can you see the X's? And that's what I heard. I don't confirm it, but this part right here tells me we're looking at an image with again a big X on the wall in the background. This is the building where as Martin Sheen is walking up to the building, you will see the X. That I do know.
This is the same building, right?
It's the same building.
It's the same building, yeah.
So again, that's what they say. The symbolism is that wherever you see an X, then that either that someone is going to die or that person dies from that scene. So hey, that's homework for you guys in the Be Kind Rewind podcast.
Now I got to rewatch the movie and like catch up.
Exactly.
There it is, right there. Oh, by the way, I want to recommend Costigan for the Legion of Merit.
Right, because now I
just want to go on record and say that.
Yeah, and again, you're pissed at this point. Like the fucking bad guy got away with it.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, because until.
And then even in that scene, he goes to pet the dog, and the dog is like, "Don't fucking touch me." Don't fucking touch me, you piece of shit. And then we got this.
And I think
Marky Mark in his OG clothes from the same music video.
That's the Marky Mark Funky Bunch outfit. Come on, swing it. No, but see when they pan up to him, because you don't know who this is, you forget.
So it's funny too, because when I first watched the movie for the first time, I've watched this movie 1,000 times over, but first time I watched this movie and they pan up, I saw the swagginess of his walk. And I was like, holy shit, it's Dingham.
Dingham. Yeah.
I'm like, Dingham's back. He's back. And it's just fucking poetic justice. Like just how to encompass the entire movie with something so perfect.
Yeah.
I changed my pants like 3 times over when I saw this.
Yeah, man. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like in my mind, I forgot Dingham. Like the first viewing, fucking forgot him. And so when he shows back up and I see the booties and I see the gun, I'm like, because I was pissed. I'm like, Matt Damon gets away with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and again, if that's how the movie ended, I wouldn't be pissed. I would not have been pissed. I would have said, you know what? fucking bold.
It's one of those movies where the bad guy gets away. You know,
Right.
It's just one of those movies. We can't always have that fairy tale ending, right?
Right.
So,
And I would have been pissed. I think it would have been a hell of a fucking end, exit to the movie. And they one-upped it. Like they gave me what I fucking wanted, which was and Matt Damon knew.
Face, he's like, oh, come on.
Yep. And there he is, man. Matt Damon hits the ground.
Bagels and milk on the floor. Blood splattered.
And that's it, man. And that's all she wrote, man. And that's fucking, again, that's what brings you back to the fucking movies. Like in a movie like this one, it's just fucking amazing. And again, star-studded movie, worth every penny you paid those actors.
Oh yeah, 100%. Shit, for 50% of that budget to go to the actors, it was worth it. Yeah. And like over time, they eventually made that back. But like that first year, I don't think they saw that money back until like later on down the road, like DVD and like streaming income and stuff like that. But like, and like again too, like I mentioned it before, like with the cast that they had, I can't picture it any differently.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like every person who had their role knocked it out of the park, and there was no getting better than that. You know, like it just like even here, like it says like Ray Liotta was the original choice for the role of Dingham instead of Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And like it of course, you know, Ray Liotta being a phenomenal actor himself would have been a great role, but you have all these first pick choices, right? You got Ray Liotta, you got Al Pacino. Like picture them in these roles, and I can't put them in a Boston environment.
No.
I cannot put them in a Boston environment, and that's being honest, because Ray Liotta is Jersey and Newark, like, like I picture him in a New York or Newark environment. I cannot see him anywhere else. Even if he tried to put on an accent, it wouldn't even fit. He would just be an out-of-towner visiting Boston at that point. Like, that's the only way I would see it.
I mean, you mentioned the accents. If you really think about it, the accents weren't like okay, Mark Wahlberg had it, Matt Damon, they're local, right?
You got Alec Baldwin too.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin had a decent accent, but for the most part, Nicholson kind of abandoned it. Like
Nicholson didn't need the accent because his voice was just grisly enough to not need it. Because
what's her name?
He was just erratic enough to just not need the accent. All he had to do was talk, and like he could be that Irish badass mobster that Boston needed. Everybody else around him play the part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Vera Farmiga, her accent left her midway through the movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but there's certainly more Boston movies out there, like better Boston, movies, but this one was badass. This one was fucking, again, the story is great. And I realized, and I did read that it was a remake of another movie. It was a Japanese movie or something.
Yes, what was it? The Inferno, was it?
Yeah, something like that. But that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy in itself. Like it's a remake.
It's a remake of I think it was a Chinese movie or Japanese. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and what's even crazier about it is that I think it was Brad Pitt who bought the rights for the Inferno.
Oh,
and
okay.
So he bought the rights for the movie in 2003, and then I'm not sure how Scorsese got his hands on it. Maybe Brad Pitt like hit him up as a producer, just be like, hey, I'll be the producer for this film. You direct it. I want your camera angles and stuff for this. I got the rights for it and so forth. Made the entire movie, and Scorsese found out at the end of it that it was actually a remake. Like had no idea.
Yeah. He refused to watch it. He said, I read he refused to watch it until he finished his cut.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I'm reading on here too. It says originally this remake was planned with Brad Pitt as Colin and Tom Cruise as Billy Costigan. I don't think that would work.
I can't see it. Imagine Tom Cruise with a Boston accent.
It would be terrible.
I'd be laughing the entire time. I would not take the movie seriously.
No, I would not. No, I would not
take him seriously.
Jesus Christ. Let's see. Nice fun fact. The F word and its derivatives are used 238 times in this movie.
Nice.
Not quite Scarface level, but we're there. We're close.
Nice. Yeah, this is cutting it close. Mark Wahlberg easily fell back on his native accent. Scorsese joked it was so thick they'd need subtitles. Like, that makes me so happy. So, like, I spent a lot of my childhood in Rhode Island, right? Like, I got family out there. My father lived out there forever. My sisters grew up out there. They were born out there. So, like, I always visited Rhode Island, and I was always around it. Like, it was just Massachusetts and Rhode Island, that same accent. The things that they would say, too, like how, like, I say, or like me and the guys, we say, like, things are dope, right? In accents of, like, cool. And like we'll be like, oh, that's dope. That's cool. Out there was the first time I ever heard the word buttery in reference to something being cool. And
that's Butters, man. That's
oh my God, yeah. So we used to go to a skate park as kids, and it was out there. And I had my gold Razor scooter that I got for my birthday at like 10 years old. I was so happy. It felt so cool. And like, we're at the skate park, and some kid did some trick that was fucking bananas. And this other kid next to me was like, yo, that was buttery. What? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
That shit was we used to say Butters. That shit was Butters.
Yo, that shit was Butters. That shit was Butters. That shit was Butters, kid. Kid is another one. They don't call you bro. They don't call you dude. And no, you're kid.
Yeah, everybody was kid.
Everybody was kid. My cousins, I give my cousins shit all the time too. Oh,
Listen
yeah,
here,
did
kid.
you drive here from Boston with your car keys in your pocket? You wearing cargo pockets? Did you put your car keys in that? Oh my God, it's so crazy.
Listen, you got a good one, man. I all my fucking accents turn into Jamaican accents, so that's why I stopped doing them. I'll start good, it'll start strong, and then I'm fucking down by the beach, boy.
Bear can, don't you know?
I'll be like, give me a fucking Guinness, man. Like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's already Irish
there. You're full on, huh?
I'm Irish Jamaican. That's what I am. Oh God. Oh man. Well, listen, man. I think we've had a fucking phenomenal time tonight. The beers were flowing, man. And you know what?
Oh yeah.
This is the thing. I'm out of beer, so I think it's time to end the podcast. So
I think so. I mean, that means I gotta kill this one eventually.
You've been sipping on that shit, kid.
I'm 3 in right now. This is crazy. Been filling them under the camera this whole time.
Exactly.
I had the keg on tap.
You know, because you technically aren't supposed to be, drinking on camera, but again, it's as long as you don't see the labels, I guess. I think we're okay.
It's brought to you by Budweiser, King of Beer.
I'd love for this fucking podcast to be sponsored by like a beer. I'll fucking rep that beer.
Rep the shit out of it too.
Right.
Let it be.
I'd have it all over my screen background.
Too. Some like IPA or something. Have a whole like neon light in the background and be like, you see that shit? Drink that shit right there.
Exactly.
Right there. Get your car keys, get in your car, and then go get that fucking beer.
Get that fucking beer right there. I'm gonna stop before it becomes Jamaican. Before I say Red Stripe.
Red Stripe. Oh yes, actually, you ever have Red Stripe? It's delicious.
I love Red Stripe, man.
Tastes like Malta.
You know what I get fucked up is the catchphrases. I'd be like Red Stripe, and I know that it's hooray beer, but then I'll be like Red Stripe, Australian for beer. Like fuck it, like I'm fucking done. Oh God,
always mix it up.
Always. All right, so I think we're going to end it on that note. Hercules, thank you so much for joining me tonight for the Be Kind Rewind podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, man. Honor.
We'll do more episodes in the future. Guys, if you enjoyed this podcast and podcasts like this, please make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this or if you're listening to this on a podcast or Apple Podcast, make sure you give a 5-star rating. Make sure you give us some good comments. And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you look out for the next Be Kind Rewind podcast. Again, he's Hercules Outlaw. I'm the Big Llama. Again, host of the Big Llama Show. This is the Be Kind Rewind podcast. Be Kind Rewind, guys. It's movie night, and we're going to see you guys on the next one. Peace.